GM. Up next, huge speaker. We have the co-founder of Ethereum, Joe Lubin. The Metropolitan Ethereum ecosystem is about to escape velocity, moderated by Bradley from Axios.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? Good to see you, ETHDenver. Oh, wow, listen to that. A little better energy than yesterday. I guess it's, earlier in the day. Good to see you guys. I'm Brady Dale. I'm the crypto reporter at Axios. I read the Axios crypto newsletter. Get out your phones real quick and just subscribe right now. Save yourself some time. We're here with Joe Lubin, co-founder of, or I think founder of Consensus, head of it, and famously a co-founder of Ethereum, one of the guys there in the room as the second largest crypto network in the world launched. Welcome, Joe. Great to see you again.
Hey, Brady. Hey, everyone.
We're going to talk about the future of Ethereum, of course. But you guys had some big news yesterday that's relevant to the whole industry. So maybe we could start with that. What happened yesterday?
So much happened yesterday. You're talking about this
government
little discussion
thing
that we've been having with the SEC for
Yes,
a while?
exactly.
Do you want me to go into it? So the big news. We are no longer being sued by the SEC. Very excited about that. We are no longer on a monthly basis scooping up millions of dollars and throwing it into the furnace. We're no longer taking our attention and similarly directing it towards /dev/null. It's a nerd joke. So effectively, our legal team has been working with the excellent new SEC that we are having a very constructive relationship with now. We agreed that we wouldn't sue them if they stopped suing us. So we're all good now.
All right. And maybe you could give us a quick rundown of, your company's been around for a while. What was your experience with Clayton? What was your experience with Gensler? And then what's your experience with the, I guess, Mark U8 until the new chair takes over?
Yeah, so the Jay Clayton SEC administration was just trying to figure things out for a while. They were totally clueless when they came in. We reached out at one point and said, hey, if you want to understand these token things, we'd be happy to have discussions with you. We did some of those, and they got up to speed very quickly. Some people in our industry did not appreciate the Jay Clayton administration. We thought they were neutral to positive, so no real concerns about them. Chair Gensler, as you're all aware, was an esteemed professor of blockchain at MIT. We're not sure how he got that job, but he learned blockchain while he was teaching blockchain. And he formed certain opinions, and those opinions were 75% of these tokens were definitely not securities, including Ether. And he had some favorites, but he came into the job as chair, and he petitioned Congress for a mandate because he said very explicitly, I have no authority to regulate these digital assets, and so please write some rules for me so I can do my job. Congress did nothing, as it does so well, except in certain moments. And that was an opportunity. It was an opportunity for banking lobbies. It was an opportunity for the progressive wing. Elizabeth Warren particularly seized on that opportunity. Progressive wing of the Democratic Party seized on it. And banks wanted to keep winning a rigged game. The progressives who wanted big government to regulate granularly every aspect of human life felt that decentralization and disintermediation were inconsistent or would make it difficult for big government to control everything. And so they set about trying to kill, slow, or co-opt Ethereum technology.
What was it like going to a meeting in the Gensler era? What were those conversations like?
So they were not friendly, warm discussions. I don't know if our lawyers, if consensus lawyers ever met in person with the SEC, because it was so adversarial, clearly, that we had representation. And so
Your lawyers had lawyers to go to them.
our lawyers had special SEC whisperer lawyers who,
Okay.
and the SEC was not hearing the whispers very much. The SEC's agenda appeared to be to make us spend so much money and make people across the ecosystem spend so much money that it would really slow our ecosystem. VCs are smart. When VCs see the SEC trying to kill an industry and there's an opportunity to fund a growth company, they're going to run away from that. And so funding in the VC space was all about funding small projects, essentially, that they could get out of pretty quickly. And so we began to detect that the SEC was trying to kill our ecosystem when they just started subpoenaing researchers and engineers at the Ethereum Foundation, at Consensus, in other places, with the idea that they could land a reclassification of Ether from non-security to security, and then tie our company, Consensus, to being promoters of this sort of reissuance and securitizing of Ether. And so now that that's effectively behind us with the new SEC administration, we are unstraitjacketed. We were afraid to say certain things publicly, but now we can return to being very vocal, highly energized stewards of the ecosystem.
So on that note, let's shift towards the future now. I know you have and always have had a very bullish take on Ethereum. Right now, we were just talking backstage about how you see strength coming in the L2 world and sort of all that power that's been built by these additional networks sort of all accruing back to Ethereum. So what's your big picture view on what's going to happen soon with L2s and why this is going to be great for everyone?
So there will be lots of different kinds of next-generation databases in Web3, just as there are lots of different kinds of databases in Web2. And these databases will have different superpowers. Ethereum's superpowers are progressive decentralization to rigorous, massively rigorous decentralization, censorship resistance, and a bunch of things that come with that. We did not focus on massive scalability initially. We are now focusing on infinite scalability, we've now achieved effectively infinite scalability, and I can break that down a little bit. And so having built horizontal scalability with all these L2s and the ability to improve the L2s and build L3s and L4s, et cetera, we've achieved horizontal and vertical scalability. The internet is a very big place, and we're going to move all the internet and web stuff onto Web3, and we need a massive infrastructure for that. We now are focusing, as our two major goals, on beefing up the scalability at layer 1, I can break that down, and essentially taking what we created, which you can think of as a bit of a problem and a bit of a feature. In achieving great scalability, we introduced fragmentation across the ecosystem, and we essentially lost the easy synchronous and near synchronous composability of functionality in smart contracts that we used to have. So
L2s are going to play better together soon.
L2s, there are many efforts right now, many technologies right now, many commitments from different L2 teams to work together to both beef up, figure out how to beef up layer 1, but also create extremely satisfying interoperability across the layer 2 networks.
And is there something people are working on to make L2s play better together, to compose better, that you are particularly optimistic about?
Yeah, there are lots of things. The two perhaps most impactful things are you can beef up layer 1 and turn it from one Ethereum virtual machine to a lot of parallel Ethereum virtual machines. So that's taking this roll-up technology and making it into native roll-up technology, where the roll-ups actually move inside the Ethereum protocol. And then there will still be roll-ups on top of that, and this thing called based sequencing, where you have validators help sequence transactions at layer 2s and higher, is a very clean and powerful way to bring back composability. Based sequencing can get very complicated. So you can imagine a couple of layer 3s having their own sequencer. There's a layer 2 that they're sitting on. It has their own sequencer. They're all communicating so that when you're sequencing, you want to see even more of the transactions around you so that you can compose them together, make everything more efficient. And so with this hierarchical and lateral scheme, we can figure out how to bring together exactly what needs to be made composable.
I think everyone wants to see based Ethereum, so I think folks will be psyched about that. Let's talk about something else pretty based. It's, when folks ask me what the most important blockchains are, I always say, to me, it's Bitcoin and Ethereum, and that's because they have the strongest cultures. They are blockchains that really have an ethos to them that are people aligning around some collective ideas. I know you're excited at Consensus about building some technologies to further strengthen that in Ethereum. So let's talk about network states and what you guys are doing there.
Sure. So in order to do powerful things, people need to get together into groups. Or let's say intelligences need to get together into groups, because some of those people will be machine intelligences going forward. And so collective action has evolved from being families living in caves to tribes, to city-states, villages, city-states, nation-states, joint stock corporations, multinationals, monarchies. The next collective organization is going to be the most powerful yet, and that will bring in diverse intelligences to define a set of goals, to create magic internet tokens for different purposes, money, equity, loyalty, utility, governance. Define your goals and then use these tokens to incentivize behavior to achieve these goals. And so Consensus itself is moving itself, evolving itself to become a network state. Consensus Software will remain a company, but we're going to become more permeable or porous and enable lots of other actors to be sort of more intimate, in intimate relationships with us as members of our network state.
So it's like Ethereum right now is a nation on the internet, and you guys are working
network state.
What's that?
Ethereum is a network state.
All right. Well, I'm going to call it a nation. And you guys are filling out a way to build like cities within that, right? Like individual chunks of people.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
And we can think of Web3 as essentially taking on a societal architecture that looks a little bit similar to nation states and provinces and states and cities, et cetera. And the difference is that it will not be directly dictated by geography, and that people will be able to be citizens or netizens of different network states by choice rather than by birth.
And is there a really early stage kind of endeavor that a kind of a young entrepreneur or young sort of excited person might be able to do with this kind of technology that you're looking forward to seeing?
Absolutely. So in one specific instance, our network state will be resident on Linea digital real estate. Linea is our layer 2 ZK EVM network and technology. And we're working with a bunch of projects to either land their projects on Linea, and many are there already, or to even use Linea to build their own networks. And so we have a project where we will be incentivizing young entrepreneurs, young builders with Linea tokens and maybe even nation state tokens, fiat tokens, to make proposals and come and build what you want to build. They will be requested and required to make use of our agreements framework. It's an agreements framework built by Sobel.io, part of our network state. And they will sign on to the agreements framework. Their proposal will be memorialized on chain. There will be milestones. There will be specific payouts. And the first cohort of builders will be requested and required to build out around the agreements framework. So make the agreements framework better, add a negotiation construct to it, add a structured decision-making piece. There are identity constructs and reputation constructs that we're also going to be providing attestation.
So people could try to build those, and that would be a thing.
Yeah. So come and eat the dog food with us, and we'll manufacture more dog food for more builders to eat as we build this thing bottom up.
Very exciting. I was talking with another founder yesterday, and he made the argument to me that the reason why things are a little moribund in the crypto world now, I mean, obviously it's been good in a lot of ways, but there still is, people are a little not as excited as they once were, is because it's all abstract, and folks are waiting for blockchains to interface with the regular world. So how far out do you see that? What's been the problem, and what might change that soon? And do you agree with that thesis too? I guess.
Yeah, so I think it seems abstract to people from the outside. Mm-hmm. That's because for a decade, we've been building enabling infrastructure. So we know what we're building. We're constantly kicking the tires on what we're building. So we think there are applications in our ecosystem. Those are infrastructural. Those are DeFi applications. Those are enabling. We don't have a lot of mainstream users, and that's why so we really haven't begun. We've just gotten to the point at which we can now go mainstream, because we're now scalable enough, we're now affordable enough in terms of block space and blob space, transaction fees. We're now usable enough, and we're going to get extremely usable in 12 to 18 months as user interfaces incorporate AI. It's going to be delightful. It is now legal in the United States of America to be a blockchain company, and that is going to... Yeah. Thank you, SEC. And that's going to bring the best and the brightest builders, entrepreneurs from Web 2, from TradFi. It's going to bring institutions whose GCs said, there's no way you can touch tokens right now. There's regulatory uncertainty. So I love this new regulatory uncertainty that we're laboring under. We don't know where the boundaries are yet. I hope to see some boundaries, but essentially it's on, and we're going to have so many applications built. So there are ways that our world and the traditional world are already interpenetrating. Some of these use cases are real-world assets. Some of the most important real-world assets currently are stablecoins. DeFi, RWA stablecoins are most, or the Ethereum layer 1 and the Ethereum ecosystem are the most dominant in those high-value use cases. I love those use cases, and I think we in the traditional world can embrace them and build on them. I also caution our ecosystem that they are potential levers of control. If we start building all sorts of applications on stablecoins, for instance, that are backed by US dollars or treasuries, there could be a shifting of the wind in government and a rug pull potentially. So what we do need to pay attention to is building stablecoins and building infrastructures around real-world assets where the stablecoins are backed by Ether and by Bitcoin, real decentralized economic bandwidth, and the real-world assets are controlled by decentralized organizations.
All right. Well, thanks a ton, Joe Lubin. Thanks all of you for being here. And keep an eye. It's all going to turn around in Ethereum soon. Keep an eye on all of that, and we'll see you later. Peace.